A member left a message saying that if the accounting and management of greenhouse gas emissions are key to green fuel certification, how should the life cycle greenhouse gas emissions of green fuel be accounted for? Today's video content is quite complex, so I suggest you share and save it for later and watch it a few more times when you have the chance. Let's first talk about what life cycle greenhouse gas emissions are. Life cycle greenhouse gas emissions refer to the emissions generated throughout the entire process of a product from cradle to grave, covering the acquisition and transportation of raw materials, production of the product in the factory, transportation of the product, and its end use. The entire process up to waste disposal includes direct emissions from product production, as well as emissions from energy consumption and indirect emissions from the upstream and downstream industrial chains. This management approach emphasizes tracking the carbon footprint from the source and extending it throughout the entire industrial chain, ensuring that carbon reduction measures consider the whole process, rather than just a single point. This life cycle perspective helps to more accurately assess the carbon emissions of fuels, allowing companies to better understand and reduce their environmental impact. In July 2023, the International Maritime Organization, IMO, released the guidelines on life cycle greenhouse gas intensity for marine fuel, which provide a basis for the accounting of life cycle greenhouse gas emissions from marine fuel. These guidelines define the life cycle emissions of marine fuel. The total emissions before fuel upload and the emissions from the ship represent the underreported emissions. This refers to the emissions generated during the extraction, production, and transportation of the fuel to the point of use, including the greenhouse gas emissions produced during refueling. The emissions from the ship refer to the use of marine fuel on board, such as combustion. The generated greenhouse gas emissions also include potential leaks related to greenhouse gas assessments. Additionally, this guideline specifies the types of greenhouse gases that need to be accounted for, including carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, in order to evaluate the relative capacity and overall effects of various greenhouse gases on climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions are all converted to carbon dioxide equivalents for calculation. Methane and nitrous oxide have a greater negative impact on the environment compared to an equivalent amount of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide emissions are the highest, accounting for over 70% of the total composition of greenhouse gases. I hope today's sharing is helpful for you as you plan for green fuel. If you encounter issues with accounting for life cycle carbon emissions and certification during the implementation of projects, feel free to message us privately or engage in deep discussions in our fan group. Follow Jenny, and let's seize the development opportunities in green energy together.
Goodbye.